Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm your nasty dream.
And I am Andy Duchesne.
It'll make sense shortly.
It was a horrible impersonation, but that's just what came out.
It's fine.
Welcome to episode 131, Fall Brawl 1994.
War Games.
I expected more of a Regal impression, guys.
Regal wasn't in War Games.
That's true.
That's touche.
So this is the second annual Fall Brawl produced by WCW. It would take place on September 18th, 1994 from the Roanoke Civic Center in Roanoke, Virginia.
No.
With a attendance of 6,500 people.
Hey. And that's
Probably fine for Roanoke.
yeah. That's
Also-
a lot of Virginians.
There's a reason that they're in a smaller building.
A couple people might not be here.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's why they ran in a smaller building. Because they can.
Or they already had the building booked, and they were like, we can't pay these guys.
No shit.
True.
Good point.
Night off.
But we're in Roanoke, Virginia. So Shane probably brought us something pretty delicious, since it's not Philly.
It's not Philly.
It's not Philly.
Thank fucking God it's not Philly. Yes, we are in Roanoke, in Virginia. I've never been to Virginia. Been close by. Been through Kentucky. Been into Tennessee. But never actually made my way over to the Virginias. But I did my research and looked up to see what the signature sandwich of Virginia is. And it came back as something a little simple, a little delicious. It is the ham biscuit sandwich. It's as simple as it sounds. A nice biscuit with some country ham or whatever ham you prefer on it. I doctored these up a little bit. First, I got the biscuits from our friends over at Honey Bunny Biscuit Company right here in Oklahoma City.
Become a staple of this show.
Pretty much. I mean, so
That-
far
that-
they've...
that's hype. Yeah, that means they're...
they've been
At
a
least
hit.
like the third or fourth time that we've...
I think so.
Yeah.
We did a Southern Gentleman once. We did the Velvet Elvis one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one, I got the biscuits from there, and then I also reached back to...
We got where you got
the
the
jellies.
good jams.
Yeah.
I don't know. They were
From
good.
Georgia.
Was that Georgia? Yeah, that was Georgia. Yes.
The Blazing Blueberry
Oh yeah, that was good
sandwich,
stuff.
breakfast sandwich
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, that was good.
When I ordered the blueberry, I also got a cranberry pepper jelly and a apple fig pepper jelly. So I put both of those on this biscuit, and then I also put some blue cheese crumbles because blue cheese goes well with cranberries and apples and figs.
Sweet, salty, savory.
Exactly.
Umami.
Umami, exactly. Mamma mia, even, because it's pretty good. I slathered a whole bunch of jelly on this one, so it's like oozing off like honey, but it's delicious. I'm gonna take a bite because I gotta talk with my mouth full.
Another staple of the show.
Exactly. Yeah, it's delicious.
All those flavors just melding together.
Yeah, blue cheese adds a nice little sharp flavor in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stops it from being too sweet.
Yes.
So while we're devouring these delicious ham biscuit sandwiches, something that came out, or something that happened right around the same time as Fall Brawl, the next week, Shawshank Redemption would be released to theaters, in which it would earn 7 Academy Award nominations.
And then it did.
The cable classic. Everybody knows this is like it just was on cable all the time and you just watched it.
It was on TNT all the time.
Oh yeah. Actually, I think one of the shows we watched with ads. No, I guess no, because that would have already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But
Shawshank, that was going to be my other name choice, was the Shawshank Redemption. But I went for Andy Duchesne.
Andy
instead
Duchesne's very
of
good.
Andy Dufresne.
Who directed that movie?
Frank Darabont.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep,
I knew that.
I did not.
Because I remember being excited when he was attached to the Walking Dead TV show, but I don't think he lasted on very long, and I didn't watch very much of that show because I
Basically the
didn't like
first
it.
6 episodes.
Yeah,
Oh, the only episodes I've watched.
I watched I watched a little bit into the second season and realized I didn't care anymore. But I was the guy that read the comic book for a long time, so I was like, this isn't like I feel like I've just had enough. I liked that it was different, but I also wasn't very intrigued. But Frank Darabont, it's a big name to attach to a big comic book and television show at the time.
Another big name, Morgan Freeman. That's a big name.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Tim Robbins. Not as big of a name, but still a big name.
Hadn't he already done Hudsucker Proxy at this point?
Yeah.
So he was
well-known.
He was well known.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of the first thing that I think I remember.
I mean,
The
he was already with
Player?
Sarandon.
I think he did The Player as well as an earlier movie he may have done.
Yeah.
I will say that my hot take is that I like Tim Robbins more than I like Morgan Freeman just in general.
Yeah. No, Tim Robbins great. He was very deserving of an Oscar in this one, even though he got beat by Tom Hanks. But yeah, I mean, what the hell was that movie?
Philadelphia?
No, that's the one Tom won for. The one that Tim Robbins ended up winning Best Supporting Actor for, Mystic River?
Oh.
Is that what it was? Sean Penn?
Yeah.
Maybe I never saw
right.
Mystic River. That's like Eastwood movie, right?
Yeah. I think so.
I don't think it's an Eastwood movie.
I can't remember. Anyways,
I remember
He's
being
always been
told
great.
that movie was good, and then I watched it, and I was like,
Howard the Duck.
I didn't like this as much.
Hell yeah, Howard the Duck.
I mean, when you go from Howard the Duck to Oscar winner...
Oh, Hudsucker Proxy is the same year, right after Shawshank.
Oh, is
It's
it?
a good year for him.
Okay.
I personally like Hudsucker Proxy more, but I'm a weirdo. I like both these movies a lot, obviously.
Was that Hudsucker?
Coen
Brothers?
Yeah.
I was trying to remember for sure.
It's actually one of my favorite
It's a good choice to be one of your favorites. It's really good.
It's good. I think my favorite still is Raising Arizona. I mean, aside from Big Lebowski. But
Yeah, it's too hard to pick. There's too many good movies that I'd have to make a chart for me to go figure out my favorite Coen Brothers movie.
Yep.
Shawshank is, I know you don't like it, but it's
I
definitely...
like it.
I thought you said you didn't care for it.
No, I said I like it.
Hudsucker
I like
better.
Hudsucker Proxy more.
Oh, okay.
As far as, Tim Robbins' 1994
Gotcha.
vehicles.
Shawshank is probably one of my favorite movies
Mm-hmm.
of all. I mean, it's literally if it's on, you have to sit there and watch it.
It's just so it's incredibly watchable, and it plays out like a slot machine,
But the big question is, was Andy Dufresne guilty?
After crawling through that much shit, who cares? I mean, obviously that's not how justice works, but
It's to be continued in
Shawshank.
Redemption Part 2.
I will say it's hard to see Tim Robbins just with
Should just
his
call
face.
it Shawshank 2 Redemption.
Yeah. his
The
face.
redemption.
His face doesn't look malicious. Tim Robbins just doesn't look like a mean guy. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean that he can't be
That
a
was
bad
his
guy,
angle.
but that's just his look at that face.
It's like Primal Fear, He's a sweet baby-faced kid, except he was this brutal killer underneath.
Everyone's capable of evil.
Well, let's head off to Virginia and talk some Fall Brawl. We get animation of a computer screen with coordinates and narration talking about launching a missile.
It reminded me of the early video game DOS tank wire games where everything's just basically shapes.
The logo comes on the screen. Narration continues with previews of the matches, including saying 2 titles are on the line, then proceeds to tell us about 3 title matches.
All right.
That producer didn't catch that one. Tony Schiavone then welcomes us to the show, and he sends it to the stage for Martin Del Rey to sing the national anthem. Wasn't the greatest of starts, but he finished strong.
Yeah, he did. He kind of rushed through it, which I appreciated, but it was by far not it was not the worst. It was just a fine little southern fried, pan fried, quick minute steak version of the national anthem.
As they cut away to wherever hell he was at, yeah, that's what I wrote down on my notes was insert random country singer here. 'Cause
That's their
don't
best
know who you are. Not the worst that they've had, but not the greatest.
All I'm saying is if I had a wrestling promotion, Aaron Neville, every single pay-per-view to be on the payroll.
Hey, I mean, if you can get Michael Buffer, why the hell can you not get...
Aaron Neville's got to be cheaper than
Probably
Michael Buffer.
why they can't get someone because they're paying Michael Buffer.
Yeah, they're really flying him in
for one match
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Del Rey did have one big hit. It was actually a cover of Johnny Cash's "Get Rhythm."
Come on, get rhythm. When you get the blues, I get the blues. We all
Yes.
we all get the blues sometimes.
No, that's Alan Jackson. She got the rhythm, I got the blues. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, we all everybody knows, the 10 Johnny Cash songs you at least need to know.
Exactly. Shivani's then joined by Bobby the Brain Heenan and Mean Gene Okerlund. They preview the matches and interviews that they are going to have tonight.
Oh yeah, Mean Gene's going to talk to Hulk Hogan later, who is not there.
Woo! It's my favorite kind of show.
Yeah, nothing like winning the belt and taking a vacation.
Tony then mentions an injury to Ricky Steamboat, which we actually talked about a few weeks ago.
Yeah, there's a hole in our boat.
These injured Ricks are just starting to break my heart.
But we go to our first match. Johnny B. Bad
The first match man of WCW.
Nice.
versus Lord Steven Regal with Sir William for the WCW World Television Championship.
I'm going to start dubbing him first match Mark.
And if we haven't mentioned before, which I know we did, there's War Games tonight. So that means there are 2 rings.
Ooh.
You know what would be cool is if they had a War Games that the special referee was Matthew Broderick. And that's so the first in a series of bad jokes.
So the match gets going. We get back and forth chain wrestling between the two when Johnny delivers a drop kick and goes to the arm, only for Regal to attempt to escape with a monkey flip. But Bad holds on to the arm, hitting a hip toss and wrenching on it until Lord Steven makes the ropes. Regal with forearms, a sunset flip, only for Bad to reverse it into a jackknife pin for a 2 count. Johnny hits an airplane spin that forces Lord Steven to bail to the outside. But Bad flies over the top with a Biscotto before rolling him back into the ring.
And watching it, it's kind of a scary one because the camera's on the floor and then Johnny B. Bad is right in front of the camera, just barrels out of nowhere.
Yep.
And you're like, oh my god. And I rewound that one a couple times just to see if how they landed because it just happened so quick and so surprising that I was like, because you can't see anybody's full body because they're that close to the camera. I love that Johnny B. Bad has just gotten so good at the catch arm work.
Mm-hmm.
That's his bread and butter in between sunset flips.
And looking pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Regal's up and he tries to grab Johnny, only to be hit with a jawbreaker across the ropes. Back in the ring, Johnny goes for a running crossbody, but Lord Steven ducks and takes control of the match with stomps and chokes. Even Sir William gets involved, using his cane. Turnbuckle smash, European uppercuts from Regal, only for Bad to ask for more, so Lord Steven obliges with more forearms. Johnny begins to fire up with a knee lift, only to receive vicious European uppercut to knock him back down. Regal stays in control with a drop toe hold and a full Nelson, but again Bad fires up with an atomic drop and a back body drop. Johnny sent to the ropes only to come back with a tilt-a-whirl head scissors, but Lord Steven tosses Bad out to the floor to break the momentum. Johnny comes back into the ring with a sunset flip when Sir William puts his umbrella up to help Regal stay on his feet. But the ref sees it and kicks it away, allowing Bad to complete it for the pin, and no! Lord Steven kicks out. Regal with a European uppercut as Sir William jumps on the apron to hold Johnny. Lord Steven charges in with a big left hand, only for Bad to duck, knocking Sir William down and allowing Johnny to roll Regal up for the near fall. Bad goes for an elbow drop, which Lord Steven avoids, starts laying it in with the uppercuts again, only for Johnny to catch one and turn him around for a backslide, for the pin, and the win. And new
Look at Johnny B. Bad with the title. Look at Steven Regal doing the job. It was a pretty clean pin.
Yeah.
Pretty clean pin.
I mean, we've had a good little feud between the two. Mm-hmm. It was time for Johnny to probably get one.
He's been around for a while, popping the crowd first thing.
I'm trying to remember. Had he won it before? Or
Nope.
was this his first?
First
Okay.
one.
Yeah, they said this was his first.
Okay. That's what I was.
singles.
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
Did he? Has he tagged with anybody? Yeah, I don't. I feel like he's
Not
just,
really.
he's just been
No.
Johnny B. Bad.
Doing
He
the
went
singles
through
thing.
that little weird gimmick thing where he was wearing his mask for a while.
Yeah, he's been around so long. People are just, he's just a staple.
He kind of hosted or helped with the bikini contest for Medusa
Oh,
and
yeah.
Missy Hyatt a couple years back.
That was a fun show. I miss Jesse.
Tony and Bobby recap the events of Clash 28. Tell us that Flair has been suspended by Nick Bockwinkel before sending us to footage of that show. We see the mystery man take Hogan out with the lead pipe, and Bockwinkel telling everyone that Hulk has to compete in the match or forfeit the belt.
Fair's fair.
But Hogan makes it to the arena and takes it to the Nature Boy. And we get to see the big boot that precedes the win.
Yay.
The mystery man then comes back out to help Nate beat down Hulk after the match. We then go back to Shivani and the Brain, where Mean Gene has joined them to discuss who the masked man is. And Oakland says he was on G. Gordon Liddy's radio program to discuss, and they are convinced they know who it is.
G. Gordon Liddy, somebody I should know.
He helped in the Nixon.
Wow.
So it was a joke. Or is it not
G.
a
Gordon
joke?
Liddy actually did have a radio show at this time.
Okay.
Because I thought it was a joke as well, but I looked it up, and he actually did have a radio program. If Mean Gene actually was on there, that I don't know.
I'm sure G. Gordon Liddy has no interest in Redacted being on his show.
I like that.
Mean Gene says that Heenan was probably involved, and then hypes up the hotline. Because, that's what he does.
We need your parents' money.
Yes.
That's right. We then go to our second match. Cactus Jack versus Kevin Sullivan, with Dave Sullivan in a loser leaves town match. Shane, you just said us something about Dave Sullivan. What was it?
Oscar Hall of Fame, whatever the hell that little sign was that I saw that I sent you guys.
The Nebraska Sports Hall of Fame?
Yes. Inducted Dave Sullivan this year. Way to go, Nebraska. Nice.
Yeah, the number one Hulkamaniac, Dave Sullivan.
Brother.
Yep, Dave comes out dressed in his pajamas, his Hogan pajamas, as the two men meet on the floor to start brawling. Jack's head smashed against the guardrail before they finally head inside the ring. More headbutts from Sullivan, but Cactus Jack retaliates with some turnbuckle smashes and some right hands that sends Kevin back to the outside. Jack removes some of the padding around ringside before heading up to the second rope, only for Dave to get involved holding his boot, which allows Sullivan to recover and slam Cactus Jack off onto the concrete.
Splat. We all know Mick. This is like Mick's
Foley sound.
Yeah, yeah. It's Mick's signature is basically to take concrete bumps at this point in his career.
Yep.
Kevin keeps up the punishment inside the ring, working the bad ear of Jack, only for Cactus Jack to bang up, hitting a back elbow, a running elbow drop for a 2 count, and then tosses Sullivan back out to the floor. Jack goes for a pile driver, only for Kevin to reverse it into a back body drop onto the concrete, followed by a clothesline. Sullivan rolls back into the ring, kicking Cactus Jack each time he attempts to get into the ring. So Jack grabs a chair and tosses it into the ring, but the ref removes it as Jack rolls in.
He thought he was in Philadelphia.
Cactus Jack runs into a big boot and is thrown to the outside, only for Jack to grab that chair again, but Dave pulls it away.
Oh, Dave.
Cactus Jack's head slammed into the steel steps before being rolled back in. Kevin takes the chair into the ring and goes to use it on Jack, but Dave pulls it away from his brother.
Oh, Dave.
Jack then charges at the Sullivans, only for Kevin to move out of the way, causing Cactus Jack to knock heads with Dave, allowing Kevin to roll him up for the pin and the win. So Cactus Jack must leave WCW. And this would be the last time we see him in a WCW ring.
Yep.
I wonder where he's going to show up at, guys.
Yeah, what a great decision.
Yeah.
The
Best thing that could ever happen to him. Thanks, Kevin.
And Dave, for that matter.
Yeah.
Like Dave taking the chair from Kevin, how much sense does this is this was this no DQ? Loser leaves town?
No. But what would Hogan do? Hogan wouldn't use a chair. Brother.
Good point. I mean, I don't know. The man bites, the man pokes, the man rakes.
He back rakes.
Oh, yeah. He only uses chairs on giants. Or swinging over the top rope at somebody that's on the floor.
Yeah.
Which I think was a giant too.
We go to Mean Gene in the back with the stud stable. And Buck starts screaming how it's supposed to be Meng in the matchup, not Colonel Parker. And Funk volunteers to be on the front line against the FBI, the Fat Boys Incorporated. Arn then chimes in that you're going to have to kill us. We then go to Tony and Bobby, and they discuss Ricky Steamboat, before sending it to Gary Michael Capetta in the ring with Nick Bockwinkel. Stunning Steve Austin and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat both come out to the ring, and the commish announces that Steamboat has to forfeit the title due to injury, with Austin making fun of the situation. Commish continues that they are handing the title back to Stunning Steve. And this is considered a title change, so... And new!
Oh, even Bockwinkel says, like, you know, Ricky will get a chance later, like, if he's ever able to compete again. It's like, come on, man, let's be positive.
Yeah.
Don't say things like that.
I mean, at this point, he had basically decided to hang it up, so...
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but for me, emotionally, I was like, come on, think positive. Like, I know the deal, but...
But even though he had decided basically to hang it up, Ricky does tell Austin that he starts his rehab tomorrow. And remember that I beat you. You never beat me. And I actually went back and looked. Every title that Austin lost he had lost to Steamboat, and Austin had never beat me.
If Austin's
in
going
a one-on-one match.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. If Austin's going to lose to somebody, might as well be Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah. And waited.
And I'm sure that they
continuity there on that one, WCW. You didn't fuck that up.
It was probably probably a thing between the two guys. I mean, there's no way Austin doesn't respect the living shit out of
that
Ricky
asshole's
Steamboat.
not pinning me. I want Steamboat.
Stunning Steve then gets on the mic and he says, I don't have to tell the world you are one of the greatest champions to ever set foot in the ring. But let me tell you something right now.
Wasn't all that respect.
You mealy-mouthed Hawaiian punk.
Oh, well, maybe not. Maybe I spoke too soon.
You saved yourself one hell of an ass-kicking. Oh, hell yeah.
Not yet.
He didn't say that.
Too soon.
Austin goes to leave, saying he's done for the evening, when Bockwinkel tells him he has to wrestle tonight in a championship match. Which brings us to our third match. Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Stunning Steve Austin for the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship.
What a good substitute for Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
It's like the best one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like twins.
So we haven't seen Hacksaw since King of the Ring 93, all the way back in episode 92. Stunning Steve's yelling at the commish as Steamboat and Duggan embrace. Bockwinkel tells the ref to ring the bell, even though Austin's literally just still arguing with Nick.
He probably still has his vest on.
Mm-hmm.
He turns around and gets in Hacksaw's face, but then turns to get back in the commish's face. Duggan hits the 3-point stance, makes the cover for the pin, and the win. And new!
Quickest title change ever.
Oh no.
USA.
Mean Gene then catches up with Hacksaw at ringside, and he says, it's unbelievable. The greatest night of my life, as the crowd's chanting USA. He then starts going off on Ric Flair running around with a bogus world title, saying Hulk Hogan is my friend.
No shit?
I would have never guessed at all.
I was trying to figure out what you were doing here.
What? You haven't wrestled in a year and a half, and
2 years.
you're going to walk in and win a belt? Never would have guessed.
More like coattail Jim Duggan.
We then go to our fourth match. Stars and Stripes of Marcus Alexander Bagwell and the Patriot versus Pretty Wonderful of Pretty Paul Roma and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
You know that they brought out Stars and Stripes right after the Duggan win.
Oh, yeah.
Just keep that flag moving. Keep that flag waving.
America.
This match is for the WCW World Tag Team Championships. And as you mentioned, Duggan, Stars and Stripes, they high five because, they're all for USA. They all have the same music as well.
I love that the Pauls, Orndorff and Roma, decided to start rocking sunglasses. Why not?
They're cool, man.
They are cool. I think they're really cool.
But also, as Stars and Stripes makes it to ringside, we see our friend Blacktop Bully, a.k.a. Barry Darsow. We saw him at Clash 28, but he didn't have his Blacktop Bully name quite yet. Then.
Yeah, I was calling him Plant Fan.
And I forgot to mention it as well, but the last time we had seen Barry Darsow was all the way back at Royal Rumble 93, episode 86.
Was he just a Rumble contestant?
Yes.
And was
as
he
Repo Man.
As Repo Man, yes.
But Blacktop Bully grabs Bagwell, who we also haven't seen since Starrcade 93, episode 107, which gets him ejected by security. We also haven't seen the Patriot since WCW Saturday Night, episode 117. So it's been a little while for these guys.
It's been too long since I've seen the Patriot.
Yep. R.I.P.
So we get two guys chanting wonderful while the rest of the crowd is chanting USA before transitioning into a
Paula.
Bunch of assholes.
They just don't know greatness when they see it.
What are you talking about? Marcus Bagwell's in the ring.
Hey, I'm half in the bag, but I'm Team Orndorff.
Remember you said that.
So the match gets going with Roma hitting a knee to the gut and right hands to work on Bagwell until Marcus comes off the ropes with a crossbody, a hip toss, and starts working the arm. The Patriot keeps up the arm work, followed by Stars and Stripes, both hitting crossbodies on Mr. Wonderful. A double hip toss on Pretty Paul by Stars and Stripes. Then Bagwell is running the ropes, only to be grabbed by Orndorff on the apron, knocking Marcus down. Pretty Wonderful then starts working Bagwell's neck. Mr. Wonderful hits the shaky knee elbow drop.
Oh, it's so fun.
And shoulder blocks in the corner before going to a front chancery. Marcus fires up to escape, hitting a sunset flip only for Orndorff to drop down on the shoulders. But Bagwell's strong enough to roll Mr. Wonderful over for the 2 count. Roma comes in with a drop kick, a body slam, and heads up top for a flying elbow drop for a near fall as the Patriot makes the save.
Oh, I love that Bobby Heenan was like, this Patriot guy, why the mask? Is he ugly or should he just not be wrestling? Oh, Bobby.
Orndorff tosses Marcus over the ropes to the floor and falls out to continue the punishment with head slams into guardrails and the Brains ice cooler, all while the ref is distracted, getting the Patriot back into his corner. Mr. Wonderful still working on Bagwell outside, even dumping the contents of the cooler on top of Marcus.
How's Bobby going to wet his whistle?
Before being dragged back into the ring, where Orndorff hits a clothesline and goes for a pile driver, but Bagwell reverses it into a back body drop. Pretty Paul regains control with an elbow drop and a front chancery, which leads us to a false tag spot. But the Patriot doesn't care, and just starts laying it into Pretty Wonderful with left hands, body slams, drop kicks, and a double clothesline. Orndorff rolls out to the floor and heads over to Marcus to hit a pile driver on the concrete, while the Patriot is still working over Roma inside the ring with a drop kick and a full Nelson slam. He makes the cover, but the ref finally helps him realize that he's not the legal man. Mr. Wonderful then rolls Bagwell back into the ring, where Pretty Paul makes the cover for the pin and the win. Fun hot tag that wasn't a hot tag.
Wasn't hot enough.
Nah.
It's kind of a weird finish for, I don't know. The finish felt weird considering it was like a pretty traditional, like solid tag match up to that point.
Tony starts shelling for the hotline before sending it to Mean Gene in the back with the Nasty Boys, Dustin and Dusty Rhodes.
Fucking Dusty's Nasty Dream t-shirt. Did he even think for a second that his shirt said Nasty Dream? I mean, I love it. Maybe he thought
he could have had it on there as Dream Nasty.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Well,
which way is worse?
Yeah. Dream Nasty sounds like a fucking Prince song.
Dream Nasty.
Or maybe
follow up to Pussy Control.
Or yeah. Or maybe like a Rick James, you know. Dream Nasty might be but I mean, I don't know. Prince got pretty nasty at times, so, you know.
Basically, this entire interview is just everyone yelling about war and getting nastified, and that's basically all it is. No one really says anything of
Baby.
Yeah, I mean,
great
Dusty
importance.
talks, which is always good because it never makes any sense, but you always get pumped up. That's the art of the old school promo.
We then get an ad for Halloween Havoc, which we'll cover
Next week,
next week.
Next week.
double dose of WCW.
Uh-oh.
Doesn't always go down like that.
Shivani then sends us to a video package about the triangle match. And we get Okerlund narration over the video talking about the rivalries between the three men and who will survive to become the #1 contender. So we get our fifth match. Guardian Angel versus Vader with Harley Race versus Sting in a triangle match to determine the #1 contender for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
How does that quite work? What's this triangle match about?
That's a good question.
Yep.
So basically, they all come to the ring. Nick Bockwinkel gives each one of them a coin to flip.
Already too convoluted.
And whoever the odd man out receives a bye in the first round. Which, after flipping the coin, it's determined Sting gets the bye. I'm sure those coins really actually got flipped.
You could see that, like, he went and grabbed him so fast that he just wanted to make sure your camera didn't see what it actually was. He's like, Sting! Sting is the odd man out.
I mean, we couldn't rock, paper, scissors for this. We got 3 guys. We got 3 symbols.
So basically, the first round, it's a 15-minute match. If there's not a pinfall, they go to a 5-minute overtime. If there's still not a pin, they go to sudden death, which basically means that if someone gets knocked down, the other person wins.
Then it turns into a sumo match.
And whoever wins the first part of the match then faces Sting in the second part of the match with basically the same rules.
After they went potentially over 25 or over 20 minutes.
Possibly.
Potentially.
Yes. Because that's the fair thing to do is let them wrestle.
Hey, he
Full
won
match.
a coin toss, man. Fair is fair.
I'm just like, there's been 3-way dances, guys. Just do one of those.
Can you imagine trying to fucking get Ray Traynor in a triple threat match? I'm sure he does it at some point in his career, but we're lucky enough if he has a quick one.
I mean, he's been out there with Mr. Perfect and the Genius. It's the same mentality. You just got to go out there and, throw shots at everybody in the ring. But instead, we get this weird match.
Also, yeah, Guardian Angel. Still over it in case anybody was curious.
I never got with it.
So Vader starts yelling at Sting as he's leaving the ring, shoving him. So Sting jumps back in, only for the Angel to stop him and calm the Stinger down.
Aw, way to be a Guardian there, Angel.
Heenan keeps calling Guardian Angel Boss Man as the two men lock up with no one gaining an advantage.
Thank you,
He also
Guardian.
makes calls him a Krispy Kreme old donut breath. I was like, well, I guess big is a big. Yeah, it's still once a cop, always a cop. I don't know. At least as far as Bobby Heenan's concerned. He is also basically a Proud Boy cop now, just beating up drug dealers.
And Vader.
Yeah.
They go to a test of strength, only for Vader to hit a knee to the gut and start delivering stiff shots at the corner. Avalanche splash attempt, but Angel fires out with multiple clotheslines, to no avail. Guardian Angel tries to pick Vader up, but he is too heavy, so Vader regains control with an avalanche splash. Angel ducks a clothesline, slams Vader down to the mat, followed by an elbow drop to the gut. Tries for the body slam again, but he's still too heavy. Right hands knock Vader down, allowing Guardian Angel to head up top. But Vader moves to avoid the double axe handle, causing Angel to fall across the top rope. More elbows from Vader. Race gets involved from the floor before Vader tries for another avalanche splash. But Guardian Angel avoids, rolling up Vader for the near fall. Angel comes off the ropes with a crossbody for a 2 count, followed by a clothesline from Vader that sends both men out to the floor.
360.
Harley rakes the eyes and holds Guardian Angel as Vader charges in with a right hand, but Angel ducks out of the way, knocking Race down. Vader tries for an avalanche splash against the ring post, but again, Guardian Angel avoids, sending Vader face first into the post.
Posted.
Back into the ring, Angel with an enziguri goes for the body slam again and gets it this time, going for the cover, but only for 2.
I mean, you know, everything's in threes, guys. You've been watching wrestling for a while.
Body guillotine from Guardian Angel. He slides out to the floor to deliver a right hand before tossing Vader to the ropes, where he bumps into the ref.
Ref bump.
Followed by Angel hitting the Boss Man Slam.
Okay.
The
Angel slam?
yeah,
The Guardian drop?
the Guardian drop's nice.
It's not bad.
I don't know.
Guardian Angel makes the cover, but Harley jumps in the ring to hit a diving headbutt, followed by Vader hitting the Vader bomb for the pin, eliminating the Guardian Angel.
Oh my goodness.
The fallen angel?
That's Christopher Daniels.
Yeah,
I know.
So we get a 30-second rest period,
that should do it.
and Sting
Yeah, that's
enters
all
the
Vader needs. He's not blown up or anything.
Sting enters the ring, and the 2 men stare each other down before locking up.
For the #1 contender.
Vader keeps shoving the Stinger away, but Sting pops right back up.
They tell me that Vader was in an episode of Thunder in Paradise. What's he doing working with Hogan? I guess they're both
Bunch of
heels
them
in my
were
eyes.
in an episode of Thunder in Paradise.
Yeah, I'm sure they were.
Stiff shots in the corner from Vader, only for the Stinger to no-sell him. Come back with a rake of the eyes, a drop kick, clothesline, before running into an avalanche. Vader hits a body slam, a Vader bomb. He decides to go for a second one, only for Sting to pop up and kick him off the ropes.
No, Sting's already learned from Hogan, getting all in their eyeballs already.
Vader with a clothesline, and he goes for the Vader bomb again, but the Stinger moves out of the way, going for a sunset flip, only for Vader to drop down, which Sting avoids. The Stinger hits a clothesline that knocks Vader to the floor, and he follows out with right hands. Harley grabs Sting to hit a suplex, but it's blocked and countered with a vertical suplex of his own to drop Race onto the floor.
Harley, just the king of taking bumps.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the ring, the Stinger hits a vertical suplex of Vader. He comes off the top with a flying splash, then a running splash, but Vader gets his knees up. I think he was actually supposed to get his knees up on the flying splash,
Yeah, I'm
and
thinking that too.
he forgot.
Like, let's run it back.
See? They should have given him a full minute instead of just 30 seconds.
I know, man.
His legs are big and heavy.
They couldn't go to commercial.
Vader with a body slam and climbs the ropes to the top for a Vader salt, but nobody's home as Sting rolls out of the way.
How many Vader salts does Vader actually land? Poor man. I guess probably more than Japan is the answer.
Probably.
The Stinger takes the big man up to the top rope to hit a superplex, following with a leaping elbow drop for a 2 count.
It's like half superplex, half DDT.
Fireman's carry drop for a near fall. The Stinger pounds Vader back into a corner before delivering a Stinger splash and a clothesline for a 2 count. Sting hits a release German suplex for a near fall, but Vader starts firing up with stiff shots before kicking him out to the floor, where Harley gets involved again, smashing the Stinger's head against the apron. Back in the ring, Vader starts unloading with short arm clotheslines as there is 5 minutes remaining.
You get some with 3 of them things.
But Sting begins to no-sell the stiff shots in the corner, firing back with right hands, clotheslines, and stomps when Vader rolls to the floor to regroup. 3 minutes remain as the big man rolls into the wrong ring. But the Stinger just comes flying over the top rope with a clothesline. Goes up top for a second one, and then goes up top for a flying splash. For the pin, and no! Vader kicks out. The big man starts pounding away again, hitting a back suplex, but a slow cover only gets a 2 count. Vader then heads up top, only for Sting to catch him coming off and power slams him to the mat. 30 seconds remain as the Stinger hits a clothesline, makes the cover, but Race pulls the ref away to break the count.
I mean, what do you got a manager for?
So Sting goes to the Scorpion Deathlock, but Vader grabs the bottom rope as time expires. So we go to a 5-minute overtime, and we get another 30-second rest period.
If that.
But they really don't care about these rest periods.
Nope.
No, they
So
don't.
Vader-
I feel like the time, when they're 5 minutes left, and then 3 minutes went by, and they're like, we're out of time.
So Vader just gains control with right hands and a vertical suplex before setting the Stinger up on the top rope, where the big man is punched off with 3 minutes remaining. Sting is headbutted down to the mat, with Vader heading up top, only for Stinger to meet him there and super backdrop the big man down. Vader reverts back to the stiff shots and a body slam with 1 minute remaining. A running splash for a 2 count. Vader then hits a powerbomb with 10 seconds remaining. Makes the cover for the pin. And no! Sting kicks out. So we're headed to sudden death. As Harley is yelling at the ref that he is insane. So if you remember, sudden death means the first person that is knocked down to the mat is the loser.
I mean, that's a compelling thing to be the way a wrestling match ends. Just gonna play that out. Don't you think?
No, not really.
I'm glad we all agree.
So the Stinger crawls out of the ring they're in and heads into the original ring to try and get some distance. But Vader follows after him to start hitting right hands and short arm clotheslines, which has Sting phased, keeping himself up on his feet by the ropes.
Oh yeah, he's fading, kind of like Hulk Hogan, holding himself up by the ropes.
The Stinger finally catches Vader with several roundhouse rights, which brings Race up on the apron. But the Guardian Angel comes running down, dragging Harley off down the aisle, which the ref goes out to the floor to break that up. All while Sting has hit several shoulder blocks, which knock Vader down to the mat. The crowd's going crazy when all of a sudden a masked man jumps in the ring and hits the Stinger from behind, knocking him down to the mat as Vader makes it back to his feet while the ref rolls back into the ring. So Vader is your winner and number 1 contender.
Oh, bitch.
Yeah, I hope he... I mean, we don't know what's going to happen later, but we know that Hulk Hogan doesn't like to lose belts. It just feels like, let's get a big guy to eat a big boot.
Very
That was my first thought.
Yeah.
And then my second thought was, I hope you go back to Japan quickly, Vader. For your own sake. We'll get there.
I hope he does too, but I don't want to disappoint you.
That's not where he goes.
Yeah.
He goes and gets his heart broken.
Aw. Vader loses his smile.
Yeah.
As if he ever had one.
We get Tony and Bobby all out of breath, trying to recap what we just saw before they start to preview the main event, when someone pokes Shivani on the shoulder, and he looks at them with a, "I'll be with you in a minute." And I'm just like, what producer is, like, what is the producer trying to tell him at this point in time?
Yeah. See, my thought was that somebody from the show, or is that like his son is sitting in the front row, like, Dad.
I mean, they weren't close enough to the crowd for it to have been
True.
a fan. So I was like, it had to be a producer or a ref or something like that. Then Tony sends it to Mean Gene on the stage. And Okerlund sends it to Hulk Hogan via satellite, where he's working out in his gym.
He says, I wish I was at Fall Brawl, brother. It's like, LOL.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Hulkster says he's getting the knee back in shape for another go at Ric Flair.
He's hanging and banging.
When all of a sudden Jimmy Hart runs in with a phone, saying the Nature Boy is calling from Vegas. And then we all of a sudden go to a split screen with Flair sitting in Vegas with some lovely ladies. We get the side-by-side shot of them talking to each other, which I'm just like, if they're talking on a phone to each other, like, how did we get a camera in Vegas for Flair all of a sudden? Like, we just had Hogan via satellite. We didn't have Flair via satellite.
Yeah, this feels, it's like, oh, yeah. You know how...
This isn't planned, guys.
No,
Like
yeah.
a sitcom route.
We know how, like, yeah, wrestling makes no sense nowadays with the way they do interviews and stuff. Like, you know, this is still better than most WWE promo stuff, but it's still kind of like, all right, well, you know, we could have just not done this.
But the two, like I said, they're talking back and forth. Nate basically calls himself the real world champion, and he has a belt, which looked a lot like the AWA belt. I don't know if that's actually what it was,
Yeah.
but it definitely wasn't big gold. Hogan says that he knows that the Masked Man was all Flair's plan, so he challenges the Nature Boy to a loser must retire match. And then after the call is over with, Hulk reveals to us that his knee isn't really hurt anymore, and he just suckered Nate into a match.
I mean, you know, isn't there a more subtle way to do that than on, like, the pay-per-view? That Ric Flair, on the company Ric Flair works for, Arn Anderson's in the building. He's going to help. He's going to let his brother know what happened.
I mean,
It's all silly.
Mean Gene then goes to look for Bockwinkel before sending it back to Shivani and the Brain, where they talk about what they just witnessed, and then they send it back to Okerlund. So I guess he found the commish that quickly. And they basically say that the phone conversation is considered to be a verbal contract. The commish and the board of directors are adding a stipulation to the match because of the Masked Man. A steel cage.
Bum, bum, bum. You know, your trilogy got in a steel cage.
But of course, Mean Gene's over there going, What? What? You can't do that! And I wrote, I think we figured out who the biggest Hogan mark is.
Dave Sullivan. Oh, wait, that's
Yeah.
Hulkamania fan. Oh, brother.
Mean Gene.
I think it was the first time that I was just like, Mean Gene, God dang it, son.
Same feeling. I was like, Gene, you didn't have to do that.
I mean, I know you guys are friends, but yeah. We go back to Tony, and he sends us to some video footage to explain why Meng isn't in the WarGames match. We see Mean Gene asking Colonel Parker about his health on a WCW Saturday night, because the executive board has ordered that Meng is not allowed to wrestle, so it must be Parker, while Arn is breaking the fourth wall and yelling, "Who pulled this coup up?"
That's what he said?
Yeah. He like said,
remember that part.
he said coup up.
He
meant coup,
Yeah.
but he said coup up.
Yeah, it's like Arn caught himself and then just went to a higher register, a register we've never heard his voice in before.
We then get footage of Anderson becoming Dusty's tag team partner at Clash 27 before turning on him at Bash at the Beach. Dusty comes to help his son deal with the stud stable at Clash 28, where Double A and Meng receive elbows and chair shots from the American Dream, only to beat down Dusty. The Rhodes then meet with the Nasty Boys to ask them to join in their fight against the stud stable, talking about family, which I thought was super appropriate since Sags is actually Dusty's brother-in-law.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah,
did I know
That I
that?
did not know.
married to Dusty's wife's sister.
All right, cool. Is this the longest feud we've seen in WCW? Is Dustin and Bunkhouse?
It's up there.
In a while.
It's been going. It feels like it's been going on for a year.
He starts going through all of the stud stable.
It's been going on for so long.
Yeah. Within
I guess that's why it's going on in a cage now.
I mean, they have to make it to WARGAMES, right?
Yeah.
We see the Nasties get into a bar fight to prove that they're nasty enough.
I'm sold.
Yeah, that bar sure looked like a bar.
Mm-hmm.
Not a storage unit with a red light.
So we go to our 6th match. The stud stable of Terry Funk, the Enforcer Arn Anderson, Bunkhouse Buck, and Colonel Robert Parker with Meng versus the Nasty Boys of Brian Knobbs and Jerry Sags, the Natural Dustin Rhodes, and the American Dream Dusty Rhodes in a War Games match. Guys excited? We love We love War Games.
I do, usually. I just hope I love this one.
I don't know if I love War Games.
Yeah. I mean, I love the
thought process.
Dangerous Alliance versus who the hell they go against that year?
The one with the Pillman one, right?
No. Mm-hmm. Sting and Dustin and I don't remember who's in it.
But I think it was Barry Windham was on that team too, possibly. I might be wrong. Anywho,
there's one where Zbyszko gets kicked out.
That's the Dangerous Alliance one.
Okay.
And Zbyszko
taps or whatever.
Yeah, Zbyszko and Eaton do the whole thing with the. That's the one he's talking about.
Yep. That one I liked up until the ending, but the rest of them have just been kind of.
I like the Pillman one. I like the early ones with the Road Warriors just because they're wild.
Yeah. Michael Buffer recites those famous words as the cage is lowered to the floor. Mean Gene gives us the rules with the 7 pages of writing on the screen.
7 periods, 7 pages.
And if you've listened to this at all, or if you've ever watched War Games, you know those rules. I'm not repeating them. I'm not taking up 30 minutes of our time.
Google it.
Arn and Dustin are the first 2 men into the ring, with Rhodes attacking as soon as Arn Anderson gets into the ring, brawling away until Anderson sends the Natural into the cage. Rhodes comes right back with a top rope clothesline, sending the Enforcer into the cage. Arn keeps going from ring to ring to slow the pace down when he goes to slam Dustin's head into the cage, but is blocked, allowing the Natural to slam Double A's entire back into the wall. Atomic drop, big boot to send Anderson over the ropes into the area in between the rings, where he gets his head stuck. So Rhodes just continues the punishment.
It kind of looks like shit. It's like, oh, we got a couple inches on each side, maybe a better camera angle would be better.
It's a callback.
That first time that we saw it in the one that I think that was the one.
The Dangerous Alliance one, yeah.
Yeah, that one was done beautifully because it was done from a distance, so all you saw was Arn's head disappearing between the 2 rings.
This one was close up.
Yeah, way too close, so you could see that all he was doing was just bumping his shoulders on the mat. Bad.
The Enforcer's able to make it back to his feet to fight back until he's backdropped into a ring, followed by Dustin running the ropes in the other ring, leaping over all of the ropes to clothesline Arn.
It's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
The Natural grabs the top of the cage to swing himself with a kick on Double A before hitting a bionic elbow, right hands, and a stomp to the gut. Leaping lariat, elbow drop, and Rhodes goes for a back body drop, only for Anderson to catch him with a DDT. The Enforcer takes control by choking Dustin with tape and a big left hand, but the Natural comes back with a drop kick to send Arn rolling to the other ring to get a reprieve, to no avail as Rhodes stalks after him to apply a single leg crab. 5 minutes is up, and shocker, guys, the stud stable wins the coin toss as Bunkhouse Buck enters the cage.
Wait, is Shocky back?
Buck with a big boot. Stable teams up with a double back elbow and throwing Dustin into the cage before starting to work the arm, locking on a double single leg crab.
Well, that's a fun, cute little spot. I like that.
2 minutes is up, and Jerry Sags jumps into the cage with a double clothesline on the stable, delivering body slams to both before sending them both into the cage. Jerry continues with a pile driver on Bunkhouse Buck, headbutt to the gut, while the Natural delivers mounted punches in the corner to Double A. Rhodes locks on a sleeper on Anderson. Sags with a clothesline and a double choke lift on Buck. 2 minutes is up, and it's Terry Funk time. He tries to throw a chair into the ring, but there's a lid on the cage. So
Terry also thinks he's in Philadelphia.
Oh, Terry.
So he just takes his boot off, using it to attack Dustin when he comes in.
Hey, man, improvise.
Terry's using that boot on everybody before throwing the natural into the cage, while Bunkhouse Buck and the Enforcer work on Sags. Jerry fights back to hit a pile driver on Funk between the rings, which causes him to fall through the gap.
Oh my god.
But Terry just crawls back into the ring.
With a big piece of steel.
Yeah,
I almost thought he was going to crawl out.
That's what I was thinking too.
Under the ring back to the outside of the cage.
I did too,
almost.
which would have been very funny. Mm-hmm. To maybe get a chair, go back under, and come up with a chair. Oh my gosh, that would have been very funny.
2 minutes is up now, and Brian Knobbs comes in to only be met by all of the stud stable, trying to throw him into the cage. But Knobbs reversed, sending them all into it instead, multiple times. Brian uses the cage as a cheese grater on Arn's head before running him into the cage once more, before hitting a leg drop. Rhodes with a cheese grater on Buck, but Funk stops that, only for Sags to make the save with the boot. Everybody's just brawling away in the ring, even Terry mistakenly hitting Bunkhouse Buck as he's dazed.
I love dazed Terry Funk.
More boot shots on Funk when 2 minutes is up, but Parker is hesitant to come in until he sees that Buck has the natural held for him. Bunkhouse Buck and Terry have their belts off, using them on everybody. Double A hits a spine buster on Knobbs in the other ring. Dustin gets hold of one of the belts and begins to whip everybody as the crowd is getting loud with anticipation for the last competitor. Meng shaking the walls out of frustration when 2 minutes is up and Dusty is in. Bionic elbow for you. Bionic elbow for you.
You get a bionic elbow.
Bionic elbows for everybody.
Is it? I noticed that did Colonel Rob shave or something? He looks a little different. I don't know why. Maybe he just
He took his hat off.
I think he took his hat off, and I realized he didn't look as old. And I was like, oh, this is not that bad of a looking guy. I don't know. It was different.
Dusty continues with a double noggin knocker on Anderson and Funk before sending everybody into the cage and then turning to see Parker trembling in fear. The Colonel escapes to the other ring only to be caught by the Nasty Boys, where they hit an Irish Whip aided splash in the corner, followed by the American Dream locking on a figure four.
Turning him into fried chicken.
The other three are knocking the rest of the stud stable down before they all start dropping elbows on Parker, forcing him to submit for the win.
I mean, the elbow drop spam is fun.
As the stud stable is leaving, Heenan mentions that Parker has had an accident. And it was confirmed later that Colonel had diarrhea.
Oops. Horrible.
So the back of his pants are not white.
He really shit himself?
Yes.
That sucks. I feel bad for him. You should not.
He
do not
got nasty sized.
Do not. Yeah, don't go partying hard the night before the pay-per-view. You got to do it the next day. Eat a salad.
Or, make sure that cocaine that you have isn't cut with something that's going to give you shits all day.
I mean, he is always sweating and huffing and puffing.
Tony, Bobby, and Mean Gene cap the evening. They talk about Hogan and Flair. Show the footage of the Masked Man again allowing Vader to win before goodbyes are said as the credits roll. So I ask you, gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts of Fall Brawl 94?
I watched it. What else do you want from me?
Yep. It can best be described to me as...
Oh, yeah. Well, it happened. It 110% happened.
Yeah.
If you want the epitome of mediocre, watch this show.
Yep.
Nothing is amazing, but nothing makes me hate it.
Yeah.
It was just like lukewarm water. Just running through, the show ran through me like Colonel Parker's lunch.
Colonel Parker's diarrhea. Yep.
Sorry, that's really gross.
I mean, kind of the same. I mean, when you've got Ricky Steamboat being replaced by Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and then Duggan is given the belt that was just given to Austin, I'm not happy.
Of all the things that were on this show, the dark match looks like it might have been something I wanted to see.
Who that?
Brad Armstrong and Brian Armstrong versus Bad Attitude of Steve Kern and Bob Eaton.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
You got Steve Kern and... Wait a minute. Who was he? What was his...
He was Skinner.
Skinner, that's what it was, yes. And then he was a doink for a while, too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Wow, so you got one doink over in WCW and the other doink over in ECW. It's madness.
And we got a doinkless WWF.
Yeah, he's still around. Not much, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a doink. You get a doink.
everybody gets a doink.
I just... Of the actual War Game matches, this one was not the worst that I've seen. I was mildly impressed with the Nasty Boys because they just came in there and beat the shit out of
It's a good match for the Nasty Boys.
Yeah.
Like, we know they can brawl. They had those tag matches with Cactus Jack and stuff, and they were pretty fun when they first showed up with, like, and the Steiners were still hanging around and stuff.
Johnny and Regal was a fun little start, but everything else was just like, meh. And I wasn't even really all that excited about the Johnny and Regal match. It's just, I find it comical, like we kind of joked about.
I know,
here,
I'm like,
that
literally, when I was like, what is the best match on this show?
I don't know. For me, it's probably the tag match.
I gotta remember. What was it?
Pretty Wonderful with Stars and Stripes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really...
Even with that ending?
Even with the ending, it was the most... Yeah, but, like, I don't know. I like Pretty Wonderful a whole lot, and Paul Roma just keeps coming more out of his shell, and
I mean,
I like him.
I think I'm Bad and Regal. That's probably my favorite match on the show.
Yeah. It's not a... It's
Because
probably my...
it
second.
plays off what's been built into the match in their feud. Bad finally wins a title.
Yeah, after being the first guy on the show for a fucking year straight.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, Mark Merrow's not the world's greatest wrestler, but Johnny B. Bad's fun. I find it hard to believe anybody's just like super anti-Johnny B. Bad.
I paid for the show. If I was at the show, I wouldn't be disappointed when I left, but I wouldn't be like, I just went to the best show ever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the show is.
I got to see Dusty.
Yeah.
I'd rave about that.
Yeah.
But other than that...
I mean, you know, and if you're a kid at the time or whatever, and, like, you go there and Jim Duggan comes out, you might be excited. As a kid?
I mean, probably.
If you know who he is, even, because a lot of times back in this time, you were watching WCW, you didn't know what was happening on WWF and vice versa.
Yeah, it was less of a crossover, you
Yeah,
think?
it was... You were a hardcore fan of one or you were a hardcore fan of the other, and fuck you if you liked the different one.
I thought you watched both, but you were more of a WWF guy.
Yeah, I was more of a WWF guy, but I watched everything, but...
Not everybody did.
No.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? All right, fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up.
Oh, brother.
Can you find a best moment of this show?
Paul Roma had a really big drop kick. He's pretty good at really big drop kicks.
Dusty with the bionic elbows when he came in.
Yeah, I mean, Dusty's just so
Terry Funk
lovable.
trying to crawl out from between the two rings. That made me laugh.
Yeah,
It looked like he was going to get stuck at one point. Arn did a spine buster.
Austin is like literally inches away from Stone Cold.
Yeah, he's like his
his
in-ring promo and like, you know, character work was absolutely great, even though what he had to do was like, you know, what he had to do was fucking go out there and be stunning Steve Austin, which he did incredibly well. And then, you know, the other thing he had to do was
put over Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah, which he also did very well.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever. His like saying what he said earlier, and I threw the oh hell yeah, like because it literally
felt like it, man.
I kept waiting for him to throw the middle fingers up, literally during that entire speech.
Can I get it? That's the bottom line.
The other thing is, I always find it so funny every time he has like a decently lengthy promo in WCW. It's like from Hollywood, California. No, I don't know. Can you hear his voice? I can hear his voice. This guy's not from California. Nobody from California sounds like that.
Stunning Steve Austin does.
Yeah, but yeah, that voice, so funny.
Anything else?
It's not. It's not. We can't. It's a hard show to have takes on.
Remind me, are we going for best?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, still best. I just want to make sure
I'm going
have
to throw
anything-
out here my best moment, whatever, Cactus Jack losing that match because it got him the fuck out of there.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah, that's
That's my deep take.
yeah.
Even if he has to do the job to Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, you know what nobody remembers? The job to Kevin Sullivan that Mick Foley did in 1994.
Nope.
How about most disappointing? Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah,
Yep.
Austin just, not getting to have a match on this show. Even if he had like a 4-minute match with Duggan, it could have been the best thing on the show because that's how mediocre this show is. Even with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, it could have been the best thing because Austin is one of the most talented people on this show that got... Because in a War Games match, you can't really call anybody the best performer because it's a shit show. That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a best
Literally
performer
this
type of
time.
match. Yeah, it's no good God. Old Colonel Rob, if you're out there, next time.
I got one
Don't
for
wear white.
I got one for you. I don't know if anyone realized there was no blood in a War Games match.
I know. I was upset about that. I was thinking about it a minute
With
ago.
fucking Dustin Rhodes involved, who bleeds when you blink at him.
Because the higher ups have basically told them no bleeding.
Yeah, and that's also why.
Anymore.
That's why one of the reasons they got Cactus out of there too. It's like we don't want to do the blood and guts, and we don't want
hardcore.
it and the hardcore stuff. And who's like? I mean, of course, sure. Rick's forehead could probably use the rest from the razor blade, but like a Ric Flair title match without him fucking blading is not a top Ric Flair title match.
And you don't have that crimson explosion,
Yeah.
that platinum blonde.
Dusty didn't even do an arm blade. Yeah.
mean,
He likes the arm blade.
Terry only ended up, I think, with a bloody lip.
Yeah, and that was just on accident.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much
Yeah.
nailed the majority of them.
The
I
show.
could go through here and just probably close my eyes and point and find something.
I mean, it's very true. Like every single match, there's something good in every match, but there's something disappointing in every single match too. And it's just that's why this show is
matches
just
were way too long.
just mediocre completely. I mean,
The triple threat thing
Yeah,
is like so
the
mediocre.
triangle match thing was too convoluted. Hogan and Flair 10 minutes to have this
It was really long.
and it was just like dragging on. It's like, we get it.
I mean, good for you for pre-taping those and getting them to play off of each other that well. But outside of that, I don't know what to say about it. Hogan telling everybody on pay-per-view that he has the edge over Flair. I got him. Hey, just between me and the 6,000 people here and everybody that paid fucking $29.99.
My knee is good.
Yeah. Lead pipe. My knee no sells lead pipes.
How about best performer of the night? Can we name one?
I mean, I want to give it to Austin for being great on the mic.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things, like, well, we know that, like, Arn Anderson's always going to do good work. We know that Steven Regal's always going to do good work. Unless he's working with Inoki.
I'm gonna go for the Nasty Boys.
Okay, cool.
They actually kind of did something for me in the War Games match.
Yeah, they did breathe some life into a mostly
Either give it to them or give it to Dusty's,
figure four.
whatever his.
I mean, they just
fucking
kept
shirt
dropping
said.
those elbows.
Nasty Dream.
Nasty Dream shirt.
They just kept giving all those elbow drops at the end on Colonel Parker, and I was just like, and knowing the diarrhea story, I was just like,
That poor man.
that poor man.
I did not know that.
Because at one
were-
point they hit him at the same time.
Yeah, right in the gut, and I'm just like,
While he's locked in a figure four, so can't really even roll and clench or anything. You're just stuck.
Poor man.
How about most surprising?
In that case, maybe give it to fucking Colonel Parker, because
That's true.
Yeah, I was honestly a little surprised that they didn't actually interact at all, Duggan and Austin. I thought maybe that like there'd be some kind of punch. So when he rolled him up like that, I was like, oh, fuck. I was like moderately surprised and then immediately disappointed. But I was like, well, it's not like I won't get a rematch. Or do I even want one? I don't know what I want sometimes. I'm only human.
Johnny B. Bad got his first title.
Yeah.
That's surprising. I mean, it's a long time coming, but
It's cool, and it's cool that he got it off of Regal.
yeah.
I mean, Regal's fine. I mean, I don't know if he wanted to do it or not, but who cares? Regal's fine. He's great heel. Heels lose.
Yeah.
Heels lose sometimes. That's part of the deal.
That's right. That I made it through the whole fucking show.
I mean, to be honest, my notes got a little light by the time we hit War Games.
Yeah,
I
I actually took notes.
It was the shortest notes that I've ever done for a War Games match.
I took notes through the Johnny and Regal match, and then I stopped taking notes from there. I was like, what the fuck? Why bother? I can remember that I'm going to bitch about this. Yeah, I'm going with that I made it through the whole show. From start to finish.
Making their way to the ring.
It's trivia time.
Thank God.
This week, the category is What's in a Name?
It's just a name, a name, a name, a name. What's in a name?
What's in a name?
So I will give you the real name of a wrestler. You give me that wrestler. 5 points for a correct answer. 3 points if we go to multiple choice. So the name this week is Nelson Scott Simpson.
Nelson Scott Simpson.
Somebody we've seen before, obviously.
Yes.
83 and 92.
Well, we know it is not Mabel because he is a different Nelson.
Oh, what's his real name?
Nelson Frazier
Okay.
Jr. or something like
Yeah,
that.
all right.
Nelson Scott Simpson.
I don't have anything off the top of my head. I can't afford to just set an outer
True.
guess.
I'm like 1 point away from triple digits, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, I'm good with multiple choice.
All right, we'll go to multiple choice. Your 4 options are Nelson Royal, Night Stalker, Nikita Koloff, Scott Norton.
Who was the first one again?
Nelson Royal, Night Stalker,
Fuck is Nelson Royal?
Nikita Koloff, Scott Norton.
I'm going to go Night Stalker just cause.
Night Stalker is incorrect.
Who is Nelson Royal?
I have no idea. I could be one of those things where he's like, well, is an actual Nelson. I thought there was like, maybe.
But no, I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to think of a character even
Oh.
that I've seen with the name Nelson Royal.
Maybe he was on one of the AWA shows.
It could be. Could have been on that Bunkhouse Stampede thing that I never watched.
According to Matt.
Because we told you not to.
The one that made my ears tingle was Scott Norton. I don't know if that's his real name or not, but I'm just gonna go for Scott Norton.
Scott Norton is incorrect.
Oh,
Cat.
it's Nikita Koloff.
It's Nikita Koloff.
That was my second thought. I was like, Night Stalker or Nikita Koloff, what am I going to pick?
Which we may have people complain because Nikita Koloff is his real name now because he's changed his name.
Oh,
But that's
But
not his
back
real
then.
name.
But back then,
He had yet to change
between
it.
1983 and 92, his name was Nelson Scott Simpson.
yes.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to remember that.
It's a good trivia question,
Yeah, I was.
especially considering you got that little extra stuff in there. But I mean, you go to his Wikipedia's full name, Nelson Scott Simpson. We all know why he probably changed his name, so we could use it.
Mm-hmm. You can't join the Koloff family if your last name is Simpson. Oh, foiled again.
Next week, Halloween Havoc 1994.
It's a Halloween Havoc in 1994. I mean, we're gonna get our third, or the end of a trilogy potentially
God, I hope so.
of Hogan and Flair in a cage. Will there be blood?
In a cage.
Loser must retire.
If it was, if it was any year previous to '94, I would say there will be blood. But you're gonna have to tune in to find out if Flair gets that razor blade.
Yeah, you know Hogan won't.
Gets stuck like a pig. Is that the same?
Yep. Yep.
Music
Bleeding
from
like-
this week's show is Guitar Killer by Eric Gene Casper. And Dusty's team came out to Dustin's music, so we're going to play it.
That's cool. I love that song. We'll call him a natural.
The Natural by Connert, Seitz, and Papa. That's the guys who wrote it.
Okay. Well, they did a good song. It's a good song.
If you like this episode or any of our other ones, please go out there and rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts at. Do as Michael says.
5 stars or no stars?
And if you have any questions, comments, concerns,
Recipes.
Yeah, I like the southern twang on
Michigan, Detroit, Michigan next week.
Hell yeah, we are. Send me something.
Be fun. You can always email us at WrestlingHistoryX@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTOX. We'll talk to you next week.
Laters.